In this week's Parsha, Vayikehel, we learn more about the building of the Mishkan. Now, we've already been hearing about the building of the Mishkan in several recent Parshiot, and here we continue. The main difference between the earlier Parshiot and this week's is that those were describing the Mishkan in the future tense. Here's what you will build, here's what you will do, and now we're in the present tense with the people actually doing the building. One thing that we learn at the beginning of this Parsha is that Moshe calls all the people together to describe to them what they will begin to do. Most of the Parsha then follows through with their actual building. When he calls all the people together, the Ramban teaches us that he really calls everyone from the community, not just the men or the heads of household, but the men, the women, and the children are all there together, part of a communal endeavor to build the Mishkan. It's interesting, though, that before he starts to describe what they should begin to do and before they start to bring their building materials, he first says, Sheshet yamim ta'aseh melacha u'v'yom hashvi'i yiyeh lachem kodesh shabbat shabbatot l'Hashem kol ha'oseh vo melacha yumat. On 6 days, work can be done, but on the seventh day, that will be a holy day for you, a day of complete rest for Hashem. Whoever does work on that day will be killed. It seems like a strange way to start the description of the building of the Mishkan. Why are we reminded of Shabbat? So the people already know about Shabbat. They already experienced it in the Midbar. They already heard about it from the SAR HS. So there doesn't seem to be an obvious reason that this Parsha begins with a reminder about Shabbat and about the punishment for not observing Shabbat. So Rashi comes to tell us that this is included here because as we're hearing about the importance of building the Mishkan, we may forget about Shabbat, or we may think that the building of the Mishkan supersedes the Shabbat. And so we're being told, no, Shabbat still takes precedence. And so there's that reminder. And that's a beautiful explanation and a reminder to us today, but I actually think there's another reason that we can also consider in our lives today that we hear about Shabbat first at the beginning of this Parsha. So many of us today feel that absence of the tangible object to which we can attach ourselves, and we don't have the Mishkan with us anymore. So I think that when we read the beginning of this Parsha, we are reminded that in fact we do have something to hold on to, something that continues to be our communal endeavor, and something that we can say binds us together as a people, just as the Mishkan once did. And that is Shabbat. Shabbat is the legacy of Am Yisrael. It is what we continue to have even as we experience the absence of that tangible object. And so what we can think about as we go into Shabbat this week is the beauty of having something we can do all together, as Ramban says, adults, children, men, women, all together to observe Shabbat, the importance of our communities in keeping us together on Shabbat, and the fact that the Shabbat is the lasting legacy that we hold on to even when the Mishkan is no longer present. Shabbat Shalom.